6 things that happen before your manifestation arrives that I have come to experience on my journey that you may not even know about. I also felt it was really important to include evidence of how these manifestations came to be from both personal and one-to-one client experiences, which I mostly document on my private Facebook group and will be discussing more in depth over on my membership channel in the coming weeks. Now, I have separated it into 6 sections because sometimes what happens before your manifestation arrives in the 3D world is dependent on what method you're using to manifest. But before I begin, my name is Frances and I live and teach the journey of I Am, which is the biblical approach to becoming a conscious manifester, otherwise known as the path to Christ consciousness. As my background is studying neuroscience and teaching mind mastery for the past 8+ years, I also detail the how, the what, and the why neurologically, really to make sure that those who struggle with manifesting from their I am identity can manifest by learning how to operate and utilize the key skills of their brain, which shifts them into a new state of consciousness. I found that this provides some much needed clarity whilst protecting your mental health, as it doesn't just rely on surface level advice such as just persist. If this sounds like the community for you, subscribe, join my membership channel and the private Facebook community. All links are below in the description. So let's begin. Echo of the old self. The 3D world operates with a built-in delay, known as the echo of the old self. Now, this delay isn't as long as you think, but it can vary. So far, mine have taken anything between a matter of hours to days, but as I discussed in my previous video, I do not pay attention to time, as this causes a lot of problems when living this journey. So before your new manifestation can appear, the old version of you, the one that held different beliefs and vibrated at a different frequency within that subject area, money, relationships, job, you name it, still lingers in the 3D. This is why, just before manifestation materializes, you often encounter remnants of that old reality. The breakup, debt, being blocked, stuck in a job or situation you don't like. It can be anything. So it helps to think of it as an echo of your past self being played out, reminding you of the patterns you're shifting away from. And it was designed this way to test your reactions and responses to it. Now, sometimes this old reflection can intensify, okay? Appearing as obstacles or challenges, like your SB moves to another country or is with another person, or maybe you get scammed financially, God forbid, lose your job, or you get sick. It will be completely personal to you. But these are not signs that your manifestation isn't coming, but rather the final release of the old energy. It's the universe's way of asking, are you sure you've changed? Are you really ready to let go of this old story? This is why some people can experience anxiety before this change happens, which is more common than you think, as a shift to the new version of reality always involves the sacrifice of the old way of being, and sometimes that can make you feel afraid or enter you into a state of grief, dependent on how entrenched it was with your previous identity. I've actually experienced this a few times, but one experience in particular really stands out when I made my first shift into a higher state of self-worth. It felt like I was literally breaking out of a shell. I felt nauseated, anxious, upset, the whole 9 yards. But this was happening because the fear created a lot of resistance within me to the letting go of part of my identity, which didn't believe she was worthy or enough for a whole host of reasons. Now, with every manifestation, the 3D always tests us. This is a constant. We just may not be consciously aware of it. And there's 2 situations that demonstrate how this can happen perfectly. The first was off of the momentum of creating the belief that I always got luxury travel and hotels for next to nothing. Now, in this instance, this meant I had taken the neuroscience approach to manifestation, which served me tremendously well in the beginning, because by forming new beliefs that served me, I was able to shift out of operating dominantly from fear. And this led to my ability to trust more in my I am identity. Now, you don't have to do that. I'm just highlighting that everyone has a different starting point, okay? So one night I went online to book my Venice trip, and I went onto booking.com, and it showed that the hotel I wanted was something like 1,001 Great British pounds a night, which I wasn't paying. So I took a break, spoke to my friend about something totally different on FaceTime, so I didn't continue that initial negative reaction, which, truth be told, was absolute disappointment. And I then thought, no, I am in this hotel and lived in the end through my imagination, specifically seeing and feeling the sheets between my fingertips as depicted in the online photos. So I was in that hotel room for just under 1 minute. No more. I didn't feel any extreme emotions. I just felt as if I was in that room because I was so determined it was happening. When I came out of that state, I had absolutely no doubt or concern. I knew this is where I was staying because I lived it in my imagination. I had already stayed there according to my brain. So I went back onto my search page and a literal pop-up, I kid you not, came up on my screen for the exact same hotel, claiming that they have the best rates and their offer was less than €300 a night. That's some deduction. The pictures will show you the correct amount, and I got that exact hotel room with the same sheets as what was pictured. You see, I remained faithful to the end, not faithful to the 3D, because I understood it was the past and just a reflection of my previous state out there. So really, looking back over this, there was never even a reason to be disappointed in the first place. The total time this took, phone call to my friend included, was just under 3 hours. The second experience I want to share was when I first implemented the knowledge I had learned of how the 3D operated and started manifesting money instantly. At that time, I'd recently gone from a loyal following, regular income, to teaching this. I'd only posted 2 videos and I had next to no followers, but I chose to put that to the side because circumstances really don't matter. So I aligned with that amount of money, and literally moments later, my mother came into the room and told me that we have to pay double storage this month for the units in Italy. That was the 3D test, which I recognized instantly. So rather than reacting negatively as if I didn't have the money, I responded from the state of having the money, which is why my reaction was, okay, we'll just pay it. Now, what are we having for dinner? Honestly, as matter of fact as that, as neutral as that. And I got a booking for that amount of money, which covered everything within the hour via email. I hadn't even advertised my long-term programs at that point. Now, I want to humanize this just for a second. I have, of course, quote unquote, failed at this numerous times where I vibrationally felt wealthy and then got a text in the 3D updating me on my bank balance and immediately reacted with, really? But because I am continuously practicing and I know we never run out of opportunities to get it right, I don't put myself down or get frustrated with myself. I'm learning. I'm a child of God just as you are. This life is my school. So now I just honestly laugh at myself. Oh, I really do. And take that as my cue to work on my alignment. So remember, the 3D will test you repeatedly. Let it. It helps you. The energetic plateau. Often before the physical manifestation, there's a period where nothing seems to be happening, and this is called an energetic plateau. This can feel like a lull where your external 3D world appears unchanged despite your internal shift. This is a crucial phase where the energy is actually reconfiguring. The old energy has been spent and the new reality is forming, but it hasn't yet solidified in the 3D. For example, let's say you've done all the foundational work with manifestation techniques, whether that be affirmations, visualizations, scripting, or all of the above, and have been even noticing signs that things are moving in the right direction. Maybe your SP started texting you more frequently, or you've had a few positive interactions, but suddenly everything goes quiet. Your SP isn't reaching out as much, and it feels like all the progress you've made has stalled. This is the energetic plateau. Despite the lack of outward signs, it's important to remain confident and continue with the alignment of the end nevertheless, as this plateau often precedes a breakthrough where your SP starts to engage more deeply, leading to the relationship. Or let's say you've been diligently working on manifesting more money, visualizing a particular amount or a lifestyle, and perhaps even taking inspired action like applying for better jobs or starting an online business. Whatever it is, initially you might see some positive changes like unexpected gifts or small bonuses, tax rebates, but then everything seems to stop. You don't see any new opportunities or money coming in, and it feels like your efforts are wasted. this is also an energetic plateau. In all instances, it's crucial to stay focused on all that has arrived to help maintain your belief in the desired outcome, as this quiet period is the universe's way of aligning things in the background, leading to a significant financial windfall or opportunity that comes your way when you least expect it. And it's the same with your SP. So as you can see, the plateau is more of a temporary phase that tests your patience and perseverance. Now, don't get confused with what we most commonly define as patience in the 3D to mean stuck waiting for your manifestation to materialize. I am referring to the biblical meaning of patience, wherein you have formed the belief that you are the person in that relationship or who has the money and are maintaining that belief, or as someone who has trust and belief in that higher power, your I am identity, to deliver. And this is stated in Romans 8:25. But if we hope for what we do not yet have, we wait patiently for it. From this understanding, from this position and state of consciousness, you do not notice how much time is passing because you're experiencing your desired reality within you now. This is how we are truly able to be spiritually patient, because we are being taught that it is within that matters, that it is within is our true reality, and therefore persevering in that vibrational state is testimony to the understanding, but it's also a sign that your manifestation is on the verge of becoming reality. Signs and symbols. Just before your manifestation materializes, you may begin to notice an increase in signs and symbols. Now, I need to preface this by saying you are the operant power and our reality in its entirety, which means you too are creating these signs and symbols. But here's why only you can determine the difference of their meaning. If you have experience of receiving signs, which can be anything, numbers, seeing others with what you desire, feathers, etc., it can be a whole host of things, and then your manifestation has become tangible in the 3D, then they are genuine signs of your manifestation arriving very soon. If, however, you have been seeing signs and symbols for years, but your specific manifestation hasn't materialized in the 3D thereafter, then that is just the manifestation of the belief you hold about signs and symbols. But either way, it can mean you are on the right track, as ultimately the 3D is always helping us manifest, because whatever meaning you have applied to these signs and symbols is helping you achieve that at that moment that they appear. For example, people see a lot of numbers like 1111, which can mean stay on this vibrational track and embrace new opportunities. So in turn, you would make sure to implement that advice. If it's more specific, and let's say you want a particular car, when you focus on something enough, your brain's reticular activating system will draw your attention to that car, however rare. This doesn't mean that they are suddenly just appearing, but that you're no longer blinded to their availability. However, if you start seeing it in your 3D or various models of it, and you think to yourself, that's not the one that I wanted, or I wish I could be the one getting into that and driving it right now, then this is the 3D revealing that you need to work on embodying the person who owns that car. Hence, your reactions and responses always reveal the truth. So this is the only one on this list that you need to determine is either proof of your manifestation coming or the 3D helping you align with that vibration. But no matter what, they are all examples of as within, so without principle, because it starts and ends with you. Bridge of incidents. You might receive strong intuitive prompts or gut feelings guiding you towards actions or decisions that align with your new reality. These nudges are part of the energetic bridge that connects your internal shift to its external manifestation. For example, I recently had a client who during the Empowerment Path Hypnotherapy program had made a shift in their self-worth quite dramatically. And she wasn't focused on manifesting her SP at all during this stage. But I just want to highlight something before we continue with this experience. Any internal shift we make through any means will always manifest in our 3D world because the 3D world reflects our internal state, which is why we don't necessarily need to restrict ourselves to mainstream manifestation techniques to align with what we currently desire, because we always manifest who we are conscious of being. Therefore, even healing in this example is a manifestation technique. And this is one of my favorite SP stories because it explains that we can't ever figure out the how something is going to materialize. One day she decided to play hooky from work, her words, and go get a juice, which was at the other side of this busy street in this massive city, right? Not a town, not a village, a massive city. Anyway, she was too impatient to wait for the traffic light, so she ran across the road. And the one car to stop and let her cross the road was her SPs. From there, they began talking again. This is why we can never predict the how or what action to take. If you find yourself doing that, that is either your logical mind getting in the way or your ego trying to interfere from a state of desperation. You see, the bridge of incidents highlights that sometimes we are led to places, people, or into circumstances that aid the fruition of that manifestation. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't just appear, okay? It just depends on the surrounding beliefs you have about it. In this case, that feeling, that urge, that push she had to take a day off work, to go do something different, to run across the road, was all leading her to the materialization of her manifestation, which was brought about by a change in her self-worth. Remember, in manifestation, people, places, and things only respond to your vibration. When you make a change to your internal state of being, you're making a change to the vibration you're emitting, collapsing time and space. As your manifestation approaches, you may experience a sense of time speeding up or collapsing. This is because energetically you're closing the gap between your current self and the version of you that holds the manifestation. Events may seem to happen more quickly, or you may notice things falling into place with surprising ease. For example, every video I had ever previously watched over the years on YouTube about how to become a YouTuber said it takes a while to be monetized and to build your first 1,000 followers. And you have to be consistent, posting one video a week and do all this research. No wonder I procrastinated for so long on creating a channel about the brain. They always made it out to be a lot of work. Yet, with this channel, I felt such a divine push to set up my channel. I mean, I could not ignore it. That I even built the website, then recorded and edited my first YouTube video within 48 hours. Now, I have posted 17 videos over a 1-year period to date. Usually people are posting once or twice a week. And I gained my first 1,000 subscribers within 5 months. I then both qualified for membership, supers, and my channel was reviewed, approved for watch page ads, full monetization within 3 days. Even YouTube states it takes up to 30 days for this process. What I'm really describing here is ease and alignment. I was enjoying the journey and being of service to people, following what God pushed me to do, which made me completely uninterested in the 3D being any different to how I was experiencing it vibrationally. You see, this alignment creates a state of being where there's no resistance or doubt, allowing your desires to manifest effortlessly. In quantum physics, the idea that a wave collapses into a particle when observed parallels this manifestation process. Your focused energy and alignment acts as the observer that collapses the wave of infinite potential into the reality of your desire in the 3D world. When your internal state, full of certainty and alignment, it is in sync with what you want, and the external world must reflect that. This convergence always happens naturally and effortlessly because there's no internal conflict or doubt to block it, so to speak, the manifestation. But in simpler terms, this happens when you reach a point where your intention and reality are so perfectly aligned that what you desire appears in your life with little to no struggle. You had no doubt it would. This is also the power of unwavering faith and being in harmony with your true self and purpose. Detachment. Often right before a manifestation appears, there's a final release, a letting go of any attachment or need for control. this is where you surrender and trust in God to materialize in the 3D your new vibrational state. It's the moment when you fully surrender to the process, trusting that your new 3D circumstances are inevitable because you fully believe you have it now. You're living it now and don't really care what the 3D reflects back to you because you've reached the desired state knowing that you are this person who has the money or who is with your SP or whatever it is you currently desire. The surrender is a powerful signal that you're no longer resisting the manifestation or trying to believe you have it. Your work is done. It's also called the Sabbath in scripture. And from here, you naturally enter the state of allowing, which means it will come into being effortlessly and when you have no expectation of when or how that will happen. Neville Goddard calls this reaching the state of the wish fulfilled through imagination or assuming it is done. It means we have embodied the person who has it or is with this person, and so we drop the manifestation of it because we know it's ours or we are the person and will feel no need to continue using manifestation techniques on that desire because we don't desire what we already have, right? Now, no matter what technique you use, the manifestation always arrives paradoxically, unexpectedly. And the reason is because you don't expect something to come that you already have, you're not waiting or looking or checking for its arrival. When it does appear or the person does reach out, it takes you by surprise, very pleasantly though. So relax. God, the universe, whichever term you use, which includes the 3D, is always helping you manifest your desires. And it's your job to let it. Now, I'd love to know if you'd actually ever heard of these or if it was ever explained in this way to you. Let me know in the comments below. In the meantime, thank you so much for all the likes, shares and subscribes. I'm so pleased you've joined me on this journey of I Am. Let me know your thoughts and experience with each of these in the comments below. And here is what YouTube thinks you should watch next.